You could. But I
Like,
would say, look at Kmart, right? Kmart, which is, we're recording on today when Kevin McCarthy is no longer the speaker in a historic upset. Well, upset to, depending on who you are, but I guess it's never happened before, which is sort of alarming to me that a party has never said, "Hey, we're tired of our speaker. We're going to get rid of them." I mean,
are you alarmed with how toxic parties are?
I'm alarmed that as toxic as parties are, that they've never cooed a speaker. I mean, I think that speaks
Yeah,
that kind of
parties are
speaks.
horrible.
Well,
Long-term
I don't know what you're
parties are
getting at.
horrible.
I'm saying that the fact that the fact that they've got inertia, that it's like you make a bad decision and you were willing to sit with it for how many terms or years that the speaker is speaker. That's crazy to me that they've never what do you call it? Yeah, they've never cooed a speaker until now, which is kind of alarming. That's what I'm getting at as well. I'm
Well, it's
saying,
because
oh,
it's I mean, for me, it's because they're being consumed. They're being taken over by the fringe.
yeah, well,
They've courted this mega
that's what's
fascist
wild
movement,
about
and
it.
now it's taking them over. And
Yeah,
so this is a transition. And maybe that hasn't happened too many times because in the past, maybe a new party just
a
pops
new
up.
party pops up.
A
Yeah,
new part, they
yeah,
splinter off. A new party has popped
yeah.
up in the
That's right.
past, and then you had that, however fleeting it may have
That's
been.
correct. Yeah, yeah.
But
We
because
never had
these two
many
parties have
parties.
consolidated so much power, they've strangled out. I mean, that's what we get into when you talk about third party thresholds for debates
Yeah,
and getting on the stage during general elections, is because the two parties have basically made a deal to strangle anyone else from ever
yeah. So
threatening them.
so the only way you can be a third party is by infiltrating
Yeah,
and yeah, and basically eating them from within,
yeah.
which has happened before. That's what's also horrible about this, because the Tea Party happened before, and that's where everything was sort of moving further right. I mean, look, we're not experts, we're not political experts on this kind of thing, but I guess what I was getting at in terms of the alarm is just that, is that a, it's never happened before, and the fact that it managed to actually happen now. It's like the party was already further right than right. The fact that there's an even more extreme fringe that is waiting in the wings is kind of wild when you really when you I mean it is and it isn't, depending on how you've been paying attention to what's going on. But the fact that this guy, and I call him Kmart because he is like the lowest of the marks. I mean, he basically begged everybody to make him speaker. It's like you forget it exists. You're like, all right, there's Walmart, there's Amazon, there's the big guys, and then you got Kmart coming in here, and he shouldn't have been there. But he got his foot in the door. He got a seat at the party. He was doing his thing. He begged everybody. What did it take? What, it was like a record. What did it take? Like a month for this guy to get in? Like, how many sessions did they
Something
have?
something
It was
silly. The
crazy.
amount of votes that needed to happen.
Yeah. So it's not
Enough to make jokes about it.
right. So it's not anything particular to say, all right, wow, it's crazy this guy lost his job, because no one wanted him there to begin with. But the fact that there is so much status quo within Washington, and you just sit with it, even if you don't like somebody, you sit with it until the end of their tenure. And yeah, these upstarts came in and were like, no, no, you screwed up, you're out,
Well, I
you're
think
not far
normally
right
you would
enough.
have, yeah, but you probably had people who ruffled for some feathers, caused some waves, and then they were pacified. They got what they wanted in pork spending. They stuffed a bill with other things, and you get a bridge to nowhere. And then they pipe down. But these people, like you said, this MAGA movement is
Well,
so
they're
there was
extreme,
probably no there
they're
was no
zealots.
pacifying them.
Yeah, there's none.
There
Yeah,
there there was no deal that everyone else would have gotten on board with.
no,
So that's
none.
probably the difference. Is that this
No,
is a
no
true
sane deal, no
hostile?
sane deal,
Yeah,
because what they wanted was a complete government shutdown in order to get their way, and they would have held the government hostage, which is another thing that is, for a sane or a centrist, just mind, like your mind just explodes. You're like, oh, wait, you literally default on our debt, you default on our standing, you'd have us lowered in terms of our borrowing ability in the world. You basically grind everything to a halt in order to get your way. So much so that you're basically, what is it? You're spiting your face, that you're biting your, what is it?
bite your
Carving
nose
out
to
your
spite your
nose.
face.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that you would do it, but in real time
it's the
for a nation, for the most powerful nation in the world. I put that in quotes because we have the biggest military. That's why we're the most powerful now, and it's all we have. So if we don't keep spending in terms of the military, we're toast. We have to. We're Sparta. I mean, it's like, congratulations, everyone. You go back to history. If we're Sparta, we have to, or Rome in its dying days. It's like we can't spend on education, we can't spend on science, we have to spend on military, because the only thing that we have that is holding us on top, and God forbid we ever fall from it. So, it's like spend on military until you're basically you collapse essentially. You're just like a complete
It's the
militaristic nation, and you have no culture, no science, no anything. You eventually just erode from the inside out.
yeah, where it is the next evolution of who is it? Newt Gingrich, who enacted the scorched earth policy,
Yeah,
where he like
correct.
really kickstarted all this tribalism
Yeah, yeah,
between the two parties, and this is like it taking the next step
yeah.
where they would rather see it burn to the ground than not get their
Absolutely.
way.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah, I
almost
don't.
biblical. It's almost as if it has like
But
some
it's
sort of
like,
religious tenet
but
to it.
I mean, I want to say it's immature. It's just like, what do you? I have a hard time. Like, where do you want this country to actually be? Like,
Well, we know we've read excerpts of the what is it 2025 plan. We've read, we know that's what you're
people are
trying to get to.
nuts, man.
If you're
I
going to
know
do
that
something as
it's just
extreme,
crazy.
if you're going to do something as extreme as bring back the gold standard, things that just most average Americans would just say, "What? Wait, what?" Like, if that's the kind of thing that is in your pamphlet, you are going to go through the most dire of loophole
It's like
of hole
they're
of
trying to make
hoops
it
in order to get there.
post-apocalyptic.
Yeah,
Like, why
in
are
order
we
to make
first?
it, yeah,
Why are we like? It just I
it's
don't
Mad Max,
understand.
right? Yeah,
It's just so silly. It's silly. It's that's what I'm saying. It's like childish, except it's super dangerous.
yeah.
So it's like
I think
childish
that's
isn't
what
the
it
right
is.
word,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
just
like,
it's the danger
what
of
is
it,
going on?
right?
Like what do you like? You look at The Handmaid's Tale, or you look at some dystopian novel or film adaptation, and you're like, wow, that's crazy. Who would want that? Do people actually look at that and they're like, I want that? Like honestly, like is it there? Do
Yes,
people actually look at these things and are like, I don't get it. What's so bad?
I think so. I do think so. I do think there are people who watch it and say, yeah, that this is a really. They say that this is like some weird leftist tilt to a relatively utopian society. I do think there are people who are like, this is it's a society that is built strictly on the word of God, and adheres to the T to biblical teaching.
I feel
I
like
think that that's
they'd be
exactly what
like,
some people say is
we don't
possible.
need the white bonnets. That's crazy. But everything else, solid.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's like they'll
that's
nitpick
like a
at these
mis.
like mundane
That's what's
details.
funny about it. I mean, not funny about it. There's nothing funny about it, but that's one of those ridiculousnesses that it doesn't. No one, even the Handmaid's Tale people, probably didn't conceive that it would get to that state. It's because once you start there, you snowball. You continue down that path because otherwise people are going to start to say, okay, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I don't like this anymore, and you can't have that. You have to keep pushing the envelope more and more extreme in order to keep people down the path of what you want them to be basically riding. You have to continue to make it worse and worse
You got to
so that they
chase the fear,
feel
right? You got to chase the fear, and
you got to
you
chase the
lose.
fear, but you also have to make them feel powerless. You have to make people feel like
Well, that's what
things
I
are
mean. You take
so
their liberty away.
yeah,
Like that's you use fear to take liberty away because that's what we all are willing to give
right.
up. Keep us safe.
Control
I'll do
to
whatever.
feel safe. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So it's just yeah. I don't know.
I mean, look,
It's
I
crazy.
don't know if we'll get there in our lifetimes, but it is we're definitely, we're
I
flirting
want
with
to
it.
say we're not. I want to say that we will recoil from this. That we will bounce back.